I was working on this app called Glosso that I wrote using Go on AppEngine and Angular. I just thought I'll talk to you about how I went about doing it. The first thing to do is to install AppEngine for Go. It's a great platform to be working in, a lot of great services. The way you get it is go to developers.google.com/AppEngine, and the bottom right you've got a bunch of links out of which you can choose a particular file that you want for your platform that you're targeting. Remember, this is local. On the AppEngine itself, that platform is irrelevant, and you just write the code and the platform is managed by AppEngine. Once you extract the downloaded zip, you've got a folder called Go_AppEngine, which you can move to any place you so prefer. I have it under coding Golang, and that's where I have most of my Go related environments. Once you have that, you need to make sure that your path includes that folder. For me, this would be path coding /Golang /Go AppEngine. Now, this is important because there are a couple of files within the Go AppEngine that you need to reference, and once you reference that file, the scripts know that all the other AppEngine related files are under that. So these two files, the dev_appserver.py and appconfig.py, are what you would need to use later. Dev_appserver.py to do the local testing, and the appconfig to upload the file onto the AppEngine service. You can check that it is working, it should be fine. The next thing that we want to do is to write a very simple hello world. You need to create a file called app.yaml. This is the application configuration. You name the application as you want, and this will be the same name that you use to identify this application on the AppEngine. The version is the version for your app. Since it's the first version that we are doing, we call it 1. The runtime I'm using is Go, and for Go the only API version currently available is Go 1. So that last line is required as a standard. Then you define handlers. Handlers will let you route the incoming URL to different functionality. In this one, I'm saying that every URL that is coming in should be handled by the Go application. Instead, you might be able to, or you will be able to route it to static files or mail or other services that you can have within the application itself. Once you do that, you can write your Go file. The important thing to import is net_http, which has some of the HTTP request handling and response writing functionality. Once you write that, you start the AppEngine application in the init function. This would be similar to main and other programs, and you can create a function here, or you can handle a URL with a function by giving it in the handle function or handle func method. You write a handler that takes the response writer that you can send back to the browser and the request, the http.request, from which you can read the parameters that were sent to you. In this particular one, we're just going to write out a simple statement back onto the browser just to make sure that it is working, and we'll have the entire testing and the process of putting it on the AppEngine done with a small file, after which you can just repeat it. Now that you have these two files, just make sure that dev_appserver.py is in the path, and then you can just run dev_appserver.py giving the current directory. The application is then by default hosted at localhost 8080 that you can test out. Once you have that, you're ready to publish this application into the world. Go to appengine.google.com, create a new application, make it the same identifier as you put in your app.yaml. Just make sure that it is available. If not, you will have to change it. Give it an application title, and you're pretty much ready to go. Automatically, you get the CPU power, the memory, all that is allocated for you. There's nothing else for you to do but just to create this application and then to upload the files onto the server. Now, the default place where this application is hosted will be at the URL appspot.com. So since your application app was named GAE Go app, it should be at gaegoangapp.appspot.com. However, though, we have not yet uploaded anything to the AppEngine servers. So the first time you do this, it's going to come back with an error. It's going to be a 404, or that the server did not find the application. To upload the app that you've written to the AppEngine, use appconfig.py with update, give it your email, and for the recent versions are using OAuth 2. The first time you will have to approve Google AppEngine to use your email ID or your identification on the web. Once that is done, you're immediately, and this is like a matter of a minute or less, your application is online. The next part is to deal with data reading and writing. AppEngine uses its internal data store. It is the only, it is in Go currently it is the only one that you can use, but you also have Cloud SQL in other languages. You follow the same method. Let's have two URLs right now. One that allows you to add words, and another one that allows you to get words. So our word is a structure that has got an item, which is a string. It will have a word like say banana, and we say the meaning of it is a fruit. Once you have that, what we're going to define is just enter two default words, just so that we don't have to write a UI to upload the data separately. So the first part we'll handle is adding the words. What we want to happen is to add the words when we call this URL. So you get a context for the AppEngine for this app from the request, and then you do a data store.put. You can read up about keys and entities in the documentation, but that's pretty much all you have to do. Data store.put and give it the list of words or list of items that you want to enter into the database. It's a very simple process of getting a highly scalable high replication database. Once that is done, again you can run the application and go to localhost 8080, but you'll realize that we don't have a root URL because we don't have anything in the root that we've given. But the application is running. You can find that by going to localhost 8000. That is where the admin instance will be running. So we know for sure that the app is running. We just need to call the right URL on it so that we can kick off the AdWords handler, and that URL is localhost 8080/AdWords. You'll find that there's no response because we haven't written back anything on the writer. Instead, what we can find is it has actually worked because those entries are in the database. That is great. Now, next thing we need to do is to do the getWords handler. You write a query using the datastore.newQuery, and you say what kind of data type it is. In this case, it is word. And then you can do a get all. And once you get all of that, all the words, you can just print it out back into the response writer using a simple fprintf. Once that is done, if you do a get words, you'll see that all the data that is in the database is in your browser. So you've got your application now with reading and writing happening from the data store. Moving on, let's move on to the UI part on the browser. AngularJS, one easy way to start off with is to use the Angular seed project that has got a nice directory structure and all the JavaScript files already included. Git clone it into the directory that you're working for the AppEngine app. It'll create a new directory called Angular seed with all the files that you need, or that are part of it. I don't like to have the name Angular seed. I just prefer to call it web app, so I just rename it to web app. And inside that, you've got a bunch of folders. The app folder is what you really need, and the other ones are things like testing. Now, one of the things is you need to be able to reroute the requests that are coming in from the browser for the static files to other places. In this particular case, I'm going to say that if you come to the root URL, then I want AppEngine to route it to the static file webapp/app/index.html, which is a file within Angular seed that is should be the landing page for our application. You can do the same for all the other ones. In this case, I'm not routing it to static files, but I'm routing it to an entire directory. So if I get /css/app.css, it is going to redirect to web/app/css/app.css. Once all of that is done, you can just refresh your page and you'll get the page or the landing page that you want within Angular C. It is working now, and you're good to move on to writing more HTML, JavaScript code within index.html or the other JavaScript files. We can also see that all the files have loaded properly, so all the routing is happening, and this is taken care of entirely by the app.yaml which you have configured. The next thing we'll do is to clean up the Angular C file, which has a few helper lines that would get you started. We instead are going to replace a simple hello. It's working so far, and there's nothing much to describe there. The next thing we would be doing is to show how it works with ng-app. The Angular app always has to have an ng-app directive, and this is defined in app.js under JS folder in the case of Angular C. The remaining things are a little more for advanced level, or I won't be able to cover it today. But you need to have that included in your HTML file to say that Angular has to handle this entire application, or it could be a part of the application too. Once you have that, then you can work on the controllers in the model view controller paradigm. We will remove the default controllers I've written, and we'll replace it with one called word control. All we are going to do there is to create a small variable. Now, Angular works by being able to inject modules. For example, like this one called scope, you kind of need to use that syntax, or a couple of other ones. Once you have that, since you've defined $scope.message equal to something like hello world, here you can use a directive which includes a double braces to bind that message to the output. So now if you go back and see, this message would be bound to the output over there. The only problem now is we have not said that this particular block of code has to be handled by which controller. So we need to add it over here to say the ng controller for this part is word control. Clearly you can have multiple controllers in different parts of your HTML file. Once that is done, the binding will be taken care of between the word control in the HTML and the word control in your JavaScript. So now when you refresh, you get the value in $scope.message as part of the directive double braces and message. You could also have it as a JavaScript object. So instead of saying $scope.message, you can say $scope.data, and then have a JavaScript object with multiple values within it. It could be the $scope.data.message is hello world, and then you could have something else, and all of that can be shown in the HTML. But now you would have to reference it as a part of data.message, because we've given it as $scope.data.message. With that working, with that written down again and we refresh, it is all working again. So that's great. The next amazing thing that you can see is two-way binding in AngularJS. This is just amazing and helps a lot in writing very clean, clear, fast code. What we are going to do is create a small input field in which we are going to bind the same data.message to the view. So at this point we are saying the ng model is for this input is data.message, which is the same as the data.message that was in the HTML earlier under word control, and also the one in the JavaScript controller. So all of these three things are bound to the same scope variable, which means that when any one of them change, all the others will change too. Let's see that as action. We refresh and you can see that automatically the default is put in the input field, even though we did not actually write it down. as we type into it, you can also see that it is automatically updating, and we haven't done any jQuery code, we haven't done any data update or view update or div update. It just automatically happens, and that is really cool. As I mentioned earlier, you can inject different modules into your controllers and into your Angular code. Another one that you can inject is $HTTP. This gives you the ability to write and make AJAX calls to the web servers. You follow the same syntax. You say you want to inject the module $HTTP and then use the $HTTP name itself within the code. So our code right now is going to say the getWord function, when you call it, it should in turn make an AJAX call to the URL that we define. So in our case, we've already defined the URL getWords within our Go code. So this is where it will get routed when we make the call. So we do a get with that URL, and if that is a success, what we then want to do is to get the data that is received from the browser and set it. So once we write that and refresh, you can see in the output, in the console output that we've logged out, that our data is available, our banana feed and our bees and insect. What we don't need is the HTML tags around it, so we just remove that. And one other thing is Angular by default works with JSON. In this, I'm just using a very simple workaround to marshal the data to be a JSON object, which can be automatically handled by and seen by Angular. As you can see now it doesn't show up as text, it shows up as JSON objects, which then becomes very easy to handle within our JavaScript code. We just change it to words. It is all the same right now, and now we can refer it as words.word. The next thing we'll do is to create a very simple CSS UI. This is just so that we can show you how we can integrate the data that comes in with the JavaScript and the HTML code. Also, it will give us a nice box in which we can update this data. Once that is ready, once the box is ready, and we've got two fields in there, one for the word and one for the meaning, we just have to update our local scope to include a word that points to the current word that needs to be shown. So the idea is that we will be able to show multiple words as the user requires or automatically. So you say you create a function called next, which need not be a function that is called by the user. It could be timed with an interval, but in this case we give the user to click next, and what we're doing is when he clicks next, we will change the $scope so that the user can actually use it. We will add a button. Which in turn uses and calls the function next, and when that happens, it should get updated. Now in $scope we've given word, and that contains word and meaning. It's item and meaning. So we're just going to make that update so that whenever $scope.word changes, we will have the UI updated. And to make that UI be updated, we're going to add that input box. We're going to add that button with which we can call the next function on ngClick. So ngClick is an other Angular event which allows you to call functions within the scope easily when something happens on the bottom. We will also give it the name next, just so that the user can actually see where to click. Once that is done, we can refresh the entire page and see that we are moving across the different items. So you can see all we're doing is just changing the word in scope, and it automatically updates the UI, all because it is all bound together. We've got $scope.word here, which points to the current word, and that word is changed with each next click, and the words are received from the web server by making a $HTTP call. So in about a few lines of code, we've been able to do the basic of the entire app that I want to get done. Clearly, this is extremely quick. Now, it's a very same thing that I've continued to work on a little more, added a few details, and created the app called Closer.me. You can see the same boxes. It's just that I'm not changing it on next. I'm doing it on a timed interval, so it keeps moving around. And I've done the menu bar and other things in Twitter Bootstrap. Again, very easy to get done. I did this for the Google Cloud Developer Challenge, and so it is also accessible at GCDC 2013.closer. If you like it, if you think it was useful, do give it some social network love, +1 on Google or Facebook like, or tweet about it, and definitely use the app.